Hey there, it's Beards and Bangers, and welcome back. And it's great to see people viewing my videos. Thank you for those who are liking and subscribing. Please continue to do that, it's really appreciated as I try and grow my channel. So haven't been able to do videos for a couple of weeks, proper ones, because work's got in the way. Work gets in the way of so many things, but it's essential, especially when you are a petrol head, because we need to earn money. So what am I bringing you today? Well, we'll talk about the story of the vehicle first before I show it to you. So BMW bought MG Rover in 1994 and promptly condemned it, which was probably not the best thing to do. However, they did set about replacing the aging Rover 800, which was Honda engined for the early part, and then they brought in the KV6 engine a little bit later on. So the Rover 75 was launched in the late 90s, and MG Rover was bought from BMW by the Phoenix consortium. BMW couldn't wait to get rid of MG Rover. They took Mini, they took the premium brand, if you like, got rid of it for 10 quid, I think, to the Phoenix consortium, who promptly launched something called Project Drive. Now, I'm not going to go into the Phoenix consortium because really that's a whole different episode, and we can spend loads of time talking about that. Phoenix consortium, as I say, launched Project Drive, and Project Drive was how to get MG Rover back popular again. So at that time there was only the Rover brands, 25s, 45s and the 75, which have been going for 3-4 years. So what did they do? They brought back the MG brand. The MG ZR you saw in my first video a few weeks ago. There was the MG ZS, which was the saloon truck of the Rover 55 basically. And then they launched a version of the Rover 75, which was called the MG ZT. And that is exactly what we're showing you today. So, looks like a Rover 75. It's not a Rover 75. The suspension, the handling characteristics are completely different. The car is lower by about 25 mil, I believe, but please shoot me down if I'm wrong. I always say that, you know, please, if someone knows better, do tell me. But ostensibly looks like a Rover 75 in terms of shape, but is a completely different beast. The Rover 75 started out with a 2-litre V6 engine, the KV6 that was used in the Rover 800, and then they put the 1.8K series in it. The MG ZT started out with the 1.8K series and the 2.5-litre V6 KV6. Now the power in the 2.5 litres, I think is standard about 160 brake horsepower. But in the ZT they had the 190 edition on that's the 5-speed manual, and these have 187 brake horsepower from the factory. There was an automatic version that was 180 brake horsepower, and they had the 160, which was actually the turbocharged version of the 1.8K series. Now, the reason that MG Rover did this is to get the size of the engine under 2 litres for company car tax purposes, but have the power by having forced induction into a 1.8K series engine. Maybe not a good idea to force induction into an engine that's quite brittle. What about this example? So this is a Mark 1. We can tell that because we've got the quad headlights at the front. This car is from actually early 2003, and I believe it's got a reconditioned engine, possibly because the previous owner of this car was using it for towing a caravan. This one's finished in royal blue, which I think is actually a really, really nice colour. However, the thing that's letting it down slightly are these aftermarket alloys, which I don't know what to say about them really. They're either meant to look like this, or someone has bought them, sanded them back with a view to getting them resprayed or powder coated and just left them. But I do think the original MG Rover alloys do look better on these cars, and it really is very windy. So I'm hoping that you can still hear me. One thing I like with this is we've got this small spoiler on the back. When I start showing you my 260, which hopefully won't be too much longer, that's got the big sort of hoopy spoiler on the back, which I don't think looks quite as nice. Not going to change it because that's what it came with. So moving to have a look inside the bonnet, and I haven't done this very cleverly because I have I do like the gas struts. So we've got a pretty filthy little bonnet. We can see the ZT V6 in there. Actually, really interesting engine. It was very popular because it was one of the most compact V6 engines in its class. And the fact it's called a K series or KV6 is completely irrelevant to the K series. It shares very few components in common with the K series engine. It's much more reliable. It doesn't have the head gasket problem. So long as you're dropping the oil out of it regularly, so long as you're having it serviced at the right intervals, these are actually a much more reliable engine than the K series. Although saying that, there's nothing wrong with the K series. I think they're great engines, again, so long as you're looking after it properly. So pretty packed engine bay. Some air conditioning, which notorious in these cars. The MG ZTs, the air conditioning is not good. Whether this needs a good regas or some other attention, I don't know. But I've driven it over here, somewhere nice to do some filming, and I wasn't getting a shred of cold air out of it at all. So that's a little look under the bonnet. Let's have a little look inside the car. So we've got the typical MG Rover seat issue. This one's actually got a tear rather than wear on the bolster. That actually looks like quite an easy fix. That just needs to be stitched together. The door, we've got electric windows all round, so not bad for the early 2000s. Once you jump inside the car, it's actually quite a nice setup. We've got this lovely sort of sweep with the dashboard, and it just curls round into the doors, which I think is a really attractive feature. The only thing I noticed driving over here is the pillar here. It's slightly in the wrong position. We've got a lovely sweep back on the window, lovely rake on the front windscreen, but you do get a little bit of a blind spot here, which you don't seem to get with modern vehicles. We've got a nice chunky steering wheel, and of course we've got the oval dials, which we see in the Rover 75, but this being an MG version, they're in a lovely silver with the MG badge on it. So really nice. We've got our light controls down here, steering wheel with remote for the radio, although that's not working. Someone has put an aftermarket radio in here which hasn't got the plug that connects for these. Here's the air conditioning, or climate control rather, which just really isn't working. We're not getting any cold air out of that at all. Sweeping round, we've got glove box. We've got this lovely, it's plastic, but it's a nice colour. A slight crack in it either side of the vents, or either side of the fresh air vents actually, as the bonnet's just shut itself. So those gas struts are obviously not doing their job very well. The nice thing with the ZT 190 compared to the 260 is because it is front wheel drive, the transmission tunnel isn't as wide. You have got a little place to put your foot, so that's quite nice. Moving into the back of the car, it really is breezy today, which is actually quite refreshing. Yeah, we've got the half leather seats. The legroom isn't great. There is a cutout in the back of the front seats, just to give a bit more knee room for adults, but if it's just for kids, young kids, then there's plenty of room. And then we've got the boot, which I won't go into because it's got the owner's personal possessions in it, so we won't have a look at that. What we will do is get out on the road and give it a bit of a drive. So what's it like to drive? Let's fire it up and see how it goes. So for those of you used to the K series engine, they are not as refined. The 6 cylinders give you that little bit more smoothness. If we give it a bit of a rev, hopefully you can hear that. The exhaust on this is quite raughty. It's really nice. Let's just have a little drive around here. Lovely smooth acceleration. Yeah, not that loud actually, but yeah, yeah, nice, really nice engine note, but smooth. That's the key thing. And we'll just go for a little drive, see what it's like. Even though this is quite a big car, you do feel quite closed in. The top of the windscreen is right at your face, and I've got the seat, you know, tipped fairly well back. So despite being a big saloon car, these are quite compact inside. Not ridiculously so, but yeah, you do notice that you're in a slightly smaller saloon. Let's go for a little turn round here, and then we'll give it some beans down here. Yeah, that's really nice. That's smooth. I've never ever driven a car with an engine 2.5 litres plus that revs so freely. The red line on this is just shy of 7,000 RPM, which is really high for a 2.5 litre engine. Normally you think, 2.5 litre plus, stick an auto on it because she's not going to rev it. But MG Rover really did a good job with getting these so that you can get some serious revs and get some power. The power seems to kick in at about 4,000 RPM, very similar to my ZR. You know, that's when you really feel yourself getting pushed back in the seat. But what an enjoyable car to drive. It's really smooth. Yeah, 5-speed gearbox. Not as close ratio, I would say, as the ZR. I've never driven a ZS, so I don't know what they're like, but yeah, we can hopefully get hold of one of those fairly soon, so we can do some footage of a ZS. So that'd be really good. The other nice thing with this car is the gear change is really crisp. It's drop the clutch, don't rush the gearbox, same as the 260. The gearbox does not like to be rushed. It's a really crisp change. If you need to drop down to accelerate. It's really nice. You've got to be careful on an A-road for a 70 without any effort whatsoever. It's lovely. So of course MG Rover passed away in 2005. With it, the MG badge disappeared in its British guise. A few of these cars did linger in showrooms. You do see 06, 56 plate cars quite a lot actually. But of course, MG Rover were competing in quite a big segment. They had the BMW 3 Series, the Audi A4, and then we've got the 5 Series BMW and the Audi A6 as well, which this car kind of, I guess, sits in between in terms of size. So quite a prestigious segment. BMW, of course, with their wonderful straight six petrol engines. Yeah, and these cars didn't sell in the numbers that they really deserved to. But driving this today, it's putting a smile on my face. It's really pleasant. It's smooth. The gear change is actually really crisp. And once you get up to your cruise, yeah, we've got a bit of a raughtiness from the exhaust, but we're driving a V6. We want to hear something. Cruising along 50-60 miles an hour in 5th gear, it's actually incredibly smooth and really pleasant. Now the crazy thing about these cars is at the moment they are astonishingly cheap, with decent examples getting not even £2,000. I've seen stuff sort of spares and repairs on eBay for 500-600 quid. So given the refinement that this engine gives, they are quite cheap motoring. The 2.5 litre engine gives you about 30 miles to the gallon on a run, so they're not very efficient. Obviously we're in the middle of a fuel crisis, so maybe not the best time to be getting a bigger engine. But the petrol ones get even more than the diesel examples. So there's the 130, which is the 2 litre BMW diesel variant. They're getting even less because obviously diesels are now certainly not in vogue. Yeah, these, you do get a lot of car for the money, it seems. You know, I'm absolutely enjoying driving this around. It's so smooth, really so smooth. Let's see what the turning circle's like. Not bad, I have to say. That's not bad at all. Bit of a pop from the engine, that's always quite nice, and seems to be quite typical with MGs. Now the Rover 25 that I showed you last time, that's giving me some really good service. That's the 1.4 is really economical, and that's a great little car. So, you know, I'm thanking the person who's lent me that, because it's just giving me a bit of cheap modern classic motoring while I wait for the ZT260 to get fixed. So it's the ZT260 to give you an update on that. The engine's running much better. It's still got a bit of a misfire, and we think it's still running on 7 cylinders. So it's been plugged into the Rover T4 computer several times. That's live data as well as just stationary, and it's not actually telling us what's wrong with it. So that's getting quite frustrating. So I think the next step is to get some replacement coil packs. Someone has put replacement coil packs in it. That may be an issue. We need to check the spark plugs as a next step. So I'm hoping that you know, in the not too distant future, I can bring you a video on that, because it's a lovely car. It's really, really solid, and it's got a Mustang V8 with a stainless steel exhaust, so it just sounds lovely. Even though it's running poorly, it still sounds lovely. So I just don't want to take it out for a test drive for a YouTube video, just in case you break the engine, because they're rare cars. There's only, was it 900 or so built. We want to preserve it. So please keep an eye out for that one. Please remember to like and subscribe my videos. We will do another video on this car. We'll borrow it again another day and do something on this. But for now, thanks for watching, and see you next time.